Today I talk about the twisted pair and how it reduces electromagnetic interference in everyday communication. This is TQA Weekly. I'm the host, Steve Smith, aka Z-Axis, and if ever you have any technology questions, comments, suggestions, and or PC horror stories, email me at ask@tqaweekly.com. If you're watching on a website, use the comments box down below, or go to my website, tqaweekly.com, and use the comments form on that website, which does not use reCAPTCHA, it uses email validation. Now, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, even sharing this with your friends. Today's topic is twisted pairs, and the show notes for that are at tqaweekly.com/se3ep31. Just a shout out, 131 episodes strong so far. So the twisted pair reduces electromagnetic interference in everyday communications, but let's jump back into history with the telegraph. The telegraph was using straight line communication cables for the longest amount of time, and the telegraph uses short and long bursts of electrical signals along these lines in order to send their communications. So until anything else was installed beside them, there was absolutely no issue until the advent of the electrical tramway. So basically they have electrical lines that run above the tracks of where these trams were actually driving around town. Sometimes these cables were too close to the telegraph lines, resulting in interference in huge lawsuits that went nowhere. So what ended up happening is several inventions as a result. So the first one we want to look at is known as the balanced pair. The balanced pair initially used detection to figure out the differences between the two cables from the source all the way to the end, and they used something known as differential mode transmission. The coupling of electric or magnetic fields tended to couple both wires equally, reducing or canceling noise received by the receiver. And since this method does not refer to the distance of interference being away to the signal cable, or basically if the source of interference was too close to the signal cable, it actually created issues and tons of noise. Not to mention that it was actually possible to affect it with crosstalk. You might actually understand this as being that feedback loop you get from your speaker and microphone being in the wrong position. Over the longer length or longer amount of time, these signals actually boost with time and with distance, creating issues that make it impossible for communication to occur. So what ended up happening is something known as the twisted pair, invented by Alexander Graham Bell in 1881, 5 years after he invented the telephone. The twisted pair allows for both cables carrying opposite signals to be close enough and tightly wound against each other in a twisting fashion that allows for them to be exposed equally to any EM interference, allowing for cleaner communications through the differences of both signals, allowing for basically the receiver to receive the signal one way or another without issues. Now, when these cables are packed together, many of them, they were susceptible to crosstalk, so the solution to that was a difference in pitch. So varying distances inside the twisting pattern of all of these cables. This is why many cables within a larger cable will be twisted at different rates, allowing us to avoid crosstalk and internal EM interference that would resemble crosstalk. Now, because of that, we ended up with several different types of other cables. Your unshielded twisted pair, which you actually have in your house. You have your foiled twisted pair, which uses aluminum foil to cover the cables and protect them from various stray electromagnetic interference sources. And you also have the shielded twisted pair, which actually able to prevent electromagnetic interference from entering or exiting the cable, as well as allowing for all of the cables inside to be immune from that, as well as the different pitches of all the cables inside, allowing for immunity from electromagnetic interference caused by the internal cables, and having different pitches allows for an immunity from cross-talk. Basically, open up your wall, look for your phone line, open it up, don't cut it please. That way you can still use your phone and look at the way it is. Just a few details you need to understand about the twisted pair that is absolutely important to remember. The twisted pair only worked as long as it was twisted, so there are stringent requirements of those cables. It is flexible, but it needs to be able to stay together, because if at any point the cable were to separate, the twisting advantage disappears outside the window. So that is what the twisted pair is, was, and why it came into creation, and why we actually still use it to this day, since even with time we have added more and more electrical signals inside our towns and cities, allowing for a lot more EM interference. Next week, I'll be talking about looking into the new Ubuntu 13.04, codenamed Raring Ringtail. So I'll show you around this new updated operating system, as well as providing you with some tips on usage. Thank you for watching, subscribing, and sharing this show. Have a great day, stay safe and online. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to TQA Weekly. Show your support by liking this episode, subscribe to get our latest episodes as they come out, and share with friends and family who may benefit from such a show as this. You may send us your questions, comments, suggestions, and or stories to ask at tqaweekly.com. For our show notes, links to our Android application, alternate means of subscribing to our show, and information on joining our weekly newsletter, head over to tqaweekly.com. Stay safe and online, and have a great day.